Hi everybody, Brian from Steeda, giving you the lowdown on adding some downforce to your race car, specifically with using the APR GT-250 Adjustable Competition Wing. As you can see behind me, we've got our number 20 road race S550 Mustang, and is now equipped with the APR GT-250 carbon fiber competition adjustable wing. That's a lot to say all in one, but it is every one of those things, legitimately. And the reason we've installed this is, well, there's really a couple reasons. One is because we wanted to have adjustability for when we go to places like Daytona. All of you have watched the Rolex 24, you see how fast the cars are and how fast they've gotten over the last so many years. And this is in part because of aerodynamic benefits, creating more downforce without necessarily creating additional drag, and having the adjustability to set it up for the conditions that you're running in. We've tested at Homestead, we've tested at Palm Beach International, and many of the other tracks around the Southeast, including Roebling Road and the Road Atlanta. Every one of these racetracks is a little bit different, so to have the adjustability is nice. And when you're going to compete against cars that are former Cup cars, whether it's Ferrari, Lamborghini, or Porsche, we need to be able to put the power down as early as possible and get out of the corners as fast as possible. The additional downforce over the back of the car allows us to do this. APR has been doing this for a long time and with great success. And when we say success, we don't necessarily mean in the construction of the wing. Again, beautiful and top-notch as that is, really where success comes in is in the races that have been won with APR wings on these cars. And so this is of the reasons why we moved over to it. We mentioned adjustability. We needed to have that adjustability for the different racetracks, as well as the other cars that we're planning to be competing against in some of the local series here in South Florida. It's really important though to have that adjustability, especially on a race car, and that's why we're talking about this competition car today. Another important aspect to this though is by adding the additional downforce to the back of the car, you will have to rethink the aerodynamics at the front of your car. You'll add in an APR front splitter, and more on this in a little bit, as well as the APR canards to the front of your car, because you want to balance it off. And it's really cool to see the aerodynamic aspects of the car really work for you as a driver, give you more confidence as you're coming out of the corner because you're able to get onto the throttle earlier and not have anything unpredictable happening. The wing will really help you when you've gotten to the absolute limitations of mechanical grip. Now you need some of that aerodynamic grip. And when you've added some horsepower to the car, again, this is really important. Being able to get on the throttle early and in a controlled manner means that you're going to carry more speed onto the straightaway. It's not just the carbon fiber airfoil that's strong either on this APR Performance kit. They also utilize 6061 billet aluminum for the pedestals and undermounting on the wing. This is important because obviously you need the strength, especially when you consider the amount of downforce that's going to be put on the wing around tracks like Daytona. It's also important because they make the feet for each kit specific to the model car. In this case, it's for a 15 to 17 Mustang. They also offer it for the 18 and up models. In addition, there's a piece for underneath on the inside of the trunk so that if you're utilizing a lightweight trunk lid, like our Anderson Composites trunk lid, you can reinforce the bottom of the trunk so that the wing, obviously again, with all its downforce, doesn't simply come off. And these are pretty wide brackets, as you see in the video, to reinforce and distribute that amount of load. And they basically sandwich the two layers between the top layer and the bottom layer, once again, to reinforce that trunk lid. So you get your weight savings and you can have your functionality of the adjustable wing. For many of you out there, we know that you've been following this car for a long time and things that we've put it through, the racing that we've put it through, even way back to when it was a showroom stock car and we just started putting some parts on it and developing pieces for the S550 chassis. And pretty early in that, it received our Steeda race wing. So why make the change? And we know that you're asking. And the reality is simply for the adjustment. This car won multiple SARC races and ultimately a SARC championship with that very Steeda race wing. And if we weren't going up against Cup cars that are to the competition level that they are and need to eke out every last tenth of a lap in a race setting, we would 1000% stay with the race wing. In fact, we're continuing to develop our red 2018 car with the Steeda race wing. Again, that is the best wing for street drivability, track ability, as well as performance that you can get anywhere on the market. So we went to the APR wing because it's important, especially in a competition car, to eke out every last tenth and hundredth of a second every single lap, regardless of what racetrack you go to. This is something that Steeda has been near and dear and loyal to throughout the generations since 1988, because speed matters. Ultimately, there's nobody better to give us the driver's perspective of this car than Hot Shoes Glen Vitale. Let's turn it over to him for a moment.
So by adding the wing, we've increased our forward bite in this car tremendously. With this wing, we're able to give it a lot more throttle coming out of the corner, which gets the power down to the ground and gets you down the straightaway with higher mile-an-hour speeds in the next braking zone. This is important in racing, and this is why we're constantly testing to see what is the best scenario for this car when we're out at the track. We tried various different wing angles, which helps us learn at which track and at what speed we want to have the wing set at for optimum traction coming off the corners.
Strength, functionality, and adjustability are just a few of the words that really encompass the APR Performance GT-250 wing. This is designed as a competition piece that will be a great addition to any race car. To see the latest and greatest things that we're putting our Mustangs through, check us out on social media. If you'd like to learn more about this wing and many of the other parts that we offer for race cars as well as street-driven cars, visit Steeda.com. If you enjoyed the content of this video, definitely click like and share. In addition, hit the subscribe buttons that we show up in your feed so that you can see some of the other videos where we're actually testing this bad boy out at Homestead Motor Speedway. Again, we thank you so much for watching. Steeda, speed matters.